All right, guys. I would like to again say good morning and welcome to Sellercloud 2024. We have Dina and Isaac here today with us to go with our Q&A, our Sellercloud Delta Q&A. We're going to go ahead and start with the first question here. While we're going through the questions, I will be following along, so feel free to watch the screen. We'll be showing a little bit on how it's actually going to be working in Sellercloud as well. So our first question, Isaac, Dean, if you guys are ready, I aim to monitor employee performance closely, especially regarding order fulfillment and tracking the origin of label printing in case of delayed shipments. Can this be tracked in Sellercloud?
Everyone hear me? Okay, great. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Isaac. I work on implementations in Sellercloud. So just to answer your question, I think the first thing to mention is that if you want to track specifically where items were shipped from and which computer, then in ShipBridge, our shipping software, we have an option for setting up locations and stations, and these could monitor which computer and which user shipped out each order. So that would be a great way to track the employee performance specifically in terms of shipping. In terms of picking, in terms of general warehouse movements, we have, if you are signed up for SKUstack, we have something called SKUstack Lens where you could track in detail. We have all these detailed reports, show all the different movements, and that's one very helpful tool. Dina, anything to add?
Yeah, so first of all, we do have an option in Sellercloud where you could actually track the delivery status of a shipment. So oftentimes, like, we'll have people generate shipping labels and didn't actually get out the door. For whatever reason, the package got lost. So we could turn on the service as long as, you know, your API credentials are entered, and we'll be able to track whether the package was picked up or where the delivery status is. So you could also start with that. Not necessarily answering this question, but just as a general management standpoint, you could also use the safe searches to filter out like which orders are, let's say, shipped over 24 hours ago, but don't have a delivery status of picked up. This way you're able to see, like, you know, maybe we need to reship these orders. Maybe these orders need to be reviewed. And save searches could be displayed both on the homepage, right, Gary? Looks like he's showing it. And we could also set up what we call a scheduled task. Let's say the manager gets emailed like, hey, these are the orders to be reviewed, make sure they get out the door, and so on. So that is another thing. And like Isaac said, the locations and stations are able to help you track like which user shipped it from which computer. So you're able to, you know, kind of get down to the bottom of it. If someone's constantly not having orders go out the door, you're able to better see what's going on.
Question number 2. I use a repricer, but I had an issue where the repricer failed and items were priced too low. What type of safety can I set up in Sellercloud not to ship these orders?
Yeah, so for this one, we actually have a setting. Once you enable it, then it would put the order on hold if the order comes in and the price on the order, the selling price, is greater than a certain percentage of the site cost or the cost as you're tracking it in Sellercloud. So that's the way that you could prevent these orders from getting shipped out.
All right, so question number 3. What's the proper workflow for receiving a PO? The warehouse receives it, but how do they relay issues with the PO, if any?
Yeah, so we have all different ways to receive a PO in Sellercloud, depending on what your workflow is. You could just receive it directly in Sellercloud. Once you create the PO in our system, you can then go and just click through the actions to receive either the entire PO or receive specific quantities, specific shipments. You could create containers to receive different items from different POs or partial POs. If you want to scan the items as you're receiving them, you have 2 options. So if you're a SKUstack user, you can go in directly into SKUstack, pull up the PO, and scan the items to receive them into a bin. If you're not using bins, you don't have SKUstack, then we have something called repricer. It's another one of our applications. You could go in and scan the items there to receive them. Specifically in terms of communicating issues back to the vendor, we have a vendor reconciliation workflow. I'll pass it on to Dina.
So the way vendor invoices work is that we start by, you get the invoice from your vendor, you would enter that information into Sellercloud. you would put in like the total that they're charging you, and match it up to the receiving that you received on that PO. And then it will tell you like if there's any discrepancies, like let's say you only received, 10 pieces and they're charging you for 12, or if there's any other discrepancies, you're able to easily see it and then, work with the vendor on fixing that.
All right, so our next question. I recently had an issue where my employees shipped with the wrong service and it caused a great loss. What can be done to prevent that?
So for this one, we have different options to make sure that you're choosing the shipping method that you want to use when you're shipping it out. We have a setting in ShipBridge shipping software to always use the cheapest rate whenever you're scanning the items to ship them out. That will always use the cheapest rate that we could find from your connected carriers. There are other ways you could set up order rules to assign shipping methods based on it could be weight, it could be different channels you want to assign different shipping methods. Then if you have that the channel itself is sending you specific shipping methods, you could have those mapped so that if let's say Amazon is saying this order is a next day order, you could have that mapped to the relevant shipping method, and then you could have it locked where whoever is going to be shipping that order, if they want to change that shipping method, they'll need to enter in a PIN in order to be able to change that. Also, in terms of entering a PIN, if you want, you could set up a setting where if the order total is greater than a certain value, then the employee will need to enter in a PIN in order to ship that order. Dad?
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. We have like you said, the order rule engine, and there's different ways that you can map different shipping methods. And we also have the option, obviously, to do a custom plugin where you could give us your specific rules of how you'd want orders to ship if you'd want to lock it in a certain way.
All right, so for the next question then, if we're done with that one, I have access to drop shippers inventory. When and how do I make it profitable?
That's a question a lot of people want the answer to. Sellercloud, wouldn't be able to manage your business, but we do have options to pull in the inventory. We could pull in the vendor prices. You could set up customizations with us in order to set up how you send the inventory to the channels based on what your drop shippers have available, what the prices are, and you could have that certain products get shipped through the drop shippers automatically. Other products do not. Do you know anything to add about that?
It's definitely a loaded question. I could probably talk for 10 years on that, but to keep it short, first of all, a lot of people who do drop shipping, in general, I find that drop shipping is a very low margin because, you have to pay the vendor like all their high shipping fees, plus you're paying for the item, plus the marketplace fees. So it's definitely something that you have to keep a sharp eye on, to make sure things are profitable. We do have an option, like to set up different plugins in terms of calculating what the cost should be. So let's say if you use what Isaac mentioned, where you pull in the vendor's inventory and their costs, then we could have, let's say, a markup calculation, like based on the average shipping of this item, plus the cost and channel fees, this is what the item should be listed as. So we've had a lot of people do such custom plugins. This way they make sure that whatever they're actually selling at least has some sort of margin that they profit on. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people who do drop ship, unless they're one of those that don't have a warehouse, usually they'll use the drop shipping to kind of dabble in and see which items are profitable and which items are worth stocking in their warehouse. And then based on what they're selling, that's when they'll use the reports to see items that sold over X amount in the last 2 weeks. Those are the items that I actually want to stock in my warehouse. So they would use the predictive purchasing for that. But obviously would have to start with being able to get your vendors inventory and prices to actually make it profitable.
All right, so next question. How do I set up automation for what orders should be shipped from my warehouse and what should be shipped from FBA?
So in Sellercloud, you have the option to either manually ship through FBA. I'm assuming this means multi-channel fulfillment, where you could have that there's other channels that you have them orders come in from, let's say eBay, you have them get fulfilled using your FBA inventory. So you have the option to manually select the order and have it exported. We also have plugins that many of our clients use that are pre-built, available for anyone to use, that would automatically select based on where you have inventory. And if you have inventory in, so if you have inventory in only your warehouse, it will automatically get assigned to ship from your warehouse. If it's only an FBA, automatically get assigned to ship from there. And then you could set up a setting to choose if it's available in both. Where would you prioritize, whether it will be from your warehouse or from the FBA warehouse? Can you prioritize your own warehouse over the drop shipping? If you are doing that setup, then yes, you can. In terms of setting up how to assign where the orders get shipped from, we have the option to set a list of priority warehouses. So whichever one is first in that list, that's the one where it will get assigned based on your availability. We also have the option, if you have multiple warehouses, that the customer zip code, based on that customer zip code, that's where we could have it that certain zip code ranges are assigned to certain warehouses.
We even have order rules that can go ahead and split an order and send it to multiple different warehouses if you wanted to go ahead and set that up. So SKU A is only in warehouse A and SKU B is only in warehouse B. It'll split that order, send it to the correct warehouse. So as long as you have the inventory available for fulfillment, we can go ahead and set up those automations using the rule engine that you'll be able to run. That's something that's in the order rule engine to be able to split those orders. It's based on the condition that you would set up in there. So if you have different product groups, so we have certain customers that like to split products or split orders based on the order item that's in there, and then you'll be able to add those different conditions and the actions depending on what you want to have that order split by. For FBA, multi-channel fulfillment, single item orders they'll send to FBA for multi-channel fulfillment, but kits, because their customers or their warehousing, they're usually grabbing the items off the shelf and then they're building it to order. They'll send those kit SKUs to their own warehouse to go ahead and build those digital bundles that they'll be selling instead.
Yeah, and we have MCF plugins that either break up kits or don't break up kits. And there's different options that you could work with. So I guess based on your specifications, you could work based off of that. Gary, you want to show them how to submit a ticket from the page on the bottom, that little blue eye in the bottom left corner?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, so if you click on it.
Is this new? This?
Yeah, that
is this?
thing. Yeah. So if you just
Are you guys doing the Q&A or am I doing the Q&A?
Okay, at least I
I
accomplished
don't put in
something
tickets,
here.
I just sell the software, guys. My bad.
Yeah, so yeah, you could add a screenshot. So it's as simple as like you realize, hey, tracking isn't uploading. You just click on that. It will take the order URL and everything you need and submit it. So we have all the information.
Well, I want to just say thank you very much. And if you guys want to do longer Q&As, we'll be over at the booth. You can come over, ask some questions. We hopefully have all of the answers for you. Thanks again, guys, and enjoy.